the camera zooms in on this adorable little face, smiling and giggling, and she eats this little treat, and she's so adorable with these little curls and big blue eyes. And you imagine it must be easy to love this child. There really are some people that are a lot easier to love. Then you see the one throwing themselves on the floor, pitching a tantrum, yelling and screaming, kicking their feet. I hate you! I hate you! And you know that this one is not quite as easy to love. Today, we're going to talk about loving the unlovable. And for all of us, it is a great ideal, and it is a difficult reality. Because I come from a really big family and I watched my mother and my dad, I know that some people are easier to love than others. There were certain of my siblings that my mother loved better, and certain that my father loved better, and it was extremely obvious to all of us. So I'm not getting on your back that you might love some of your children better or more than others, or find them more easy to love. But I'm going to give this to you straight. As a foster parent, you really need to make it your goal, even though you may not meet that goal every single day beautifully, you need to make it your goal to love the most unlovable parts of those under your care. Here's why. A lot of foster children have been abused or neglected or both. They may well have been sexually assaulted. They have been undervalued. They have often experienced horrific, unheard of trauma, and they already think that they're just a piece of junk and not very valuable or important. Children learn that they are, in fact, valuable, important, lovable, and of great worth because we love them. That's how all of us human beings find that out. And if you are going to be an effective foster parent, you need to be that person who's going to show that child that they are valuable, important, worthwhile, and lovable because you are going to love them. Now, let's get real. Love is not this ushy-gushy, emotional mess. I'm not saying there's not an element of love there, but predominantly, love is not that. Love is an action. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is gentle. Love is gracious. Love is forgiving. Love shows value. Love shows worth. Love, you notice, love is an action, an action, an action. So you have this child and they're not lovable. And they're a mess. They're just horrible. They break stuff. They throw stuff around. They yell and scream. They have tantrums. They mess their pants. They pee the bed. They try to hit at you. They say all kinds of filthy, foul, vulgar things to you and your other children and your spouse. And they're just not very nice. And they are living out their fear, their anger, and their pain. And you don't like how it looks and you're not even sure what to do with it. First of all, as I will often say, you do not grab onto them physically because most of the time in the past, for many of them, that was about aggression and then followed by abuse. That's not effective. But you can stand pretty close. You can almost let your shoulder touch them and you can say to them, I see that you are really angry. I see that you are really upset. I understand that you have a lot of stuff in you that you are trying your best to get out. I'm right here. I still care about you. I don't love what you are doing right now, but I care about you. And I don't always understand what this is, but I want to. Okay? This is showing love to the unlovable. We're going to get real personal here in a minute. I had a rough morning. Okay? I did. Today, this very day. We're not going to go into it, but I did. And I did not speak very kindly to someone. And I already apologized to them. And I'm going to apologize to them again now that I'm significantly calmer. You need to be able to look at this person who's acting in a really horrific, unlovable, unacceptable manner and say to them, I understand, or I am trying to understand. This does not make what you are doing acceptable, and it doesn't mean that what you are doing should or will continue. But right now, I understand it. It's amazing how far being understood can go. When a lot of times no one's even listened to this child, I'm thinking specifically about one that spent a couple of years basically locked away in a closet and occasionally in a room, but no more than that. They had so much aggression and so much anger, and who could ever blame them? That in their first foster home, they were horrifically destructive, and the foster family really just could not handle it, didn't know what to do with it. So to be able to say to them, I understand, but is an appropriate statement. I understand why you're angry. I understand why you're afraid. I understand why you're sulky. I understand why you're sad. But you may not destroy things. I understand why you would want to speak to someone in that way. And it's okay. You can do that. We'll sit down and you can say what you need to say, and you can even say it harshly and loudly, and it's all right with me. But you can't yell and scream at the littler kids. You can't cuss them and tell them they're everything but a decent human being. Those things you may not do. It is an act of love as well to set limits and to explain that, in fact, normal, healthy humans have limits, and there are limits of what you will tolerate within your home. That's a very appropriate act of love that you can do. I'm going to end here today because we're going to keep talking about this all week. When that child is able, when that child will lean into you, when you sit beside them and they lean up against you, then they might be ready for some light physical contact that is appropriate, that does demonstrate love. Sometimes it might be as simple as a hand clasp and nothing more. It may be as simple as an around the shoulder hug for 1/2 of a second and nothing more. To let them finally start to discover that someone can show physical kindness to me without hurting me or using me. There are so many elements to love, but I want you to know it is your responsibility as the adult and as the person who welcomed this child into your home to love them, even when they're not acting terribly lovely. Thank you for joining me today on Paint a Beautiful Picture. Come see me tomorrow. We'll talk about this some more. You may find additional information on our paintabeautifulpicture.com website. Additionally, you may watch me on Rumble, and you may also listen to a podcast on Buzzsprout or Spreaker, all under the name Paint a Beautiful Picture. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. You may subscribe, and if you are interested in receiving notifications, please hit the notifications button.